Hello, everybody. So here we are. Actually, I'm not sure. It's just gone straight back into redirect. Oh, it's redirecting to Facebook. So whether or not we're there, I don't know. But if anybody's watching here, I think we're there now. Can anybody see us? Hello, hello. Yee. Oh, what else? Oh, I can see. Come on, I'm supposed to be, I am in now. No. Let's just have a little song while I'm here. So if anybody's there, sing along with me, because it'd be rather nice for everybody to sing along with me, dee, while I'm just checking to see. Hey, that rhymes, I quite like that. I cannot see us live yet. I don't know what's going on. Oh, nobody can hear me. Oh, hang on. Well, Amy's there, so we must be going live, even though I can't see us, because Amy's just said, hey! Hi, ladies. Hi, Amy. Woo! Yes, we are. Right. Okay, guys, I'm going back to speak to Maria, because I want to speak to Maria in Zoom, which is here I am. So yes, Maria, we are actually in Facebook here, and so much for all my planning about not wanting all this chit chat beforehand, but I'm still can't get up on here. So Amy's there, so that's good. So I'm going to ignore these devices around me because I can't get them quick enough. Come back in 6 months' time and I might have it all sussed out by then. So what these are, these member interview, Facebook Live interview chats, which are happening every week. Sometimes it's 2 a week, because when I put this out for members, would you like to come on with me in a Facebook Live and talk about your product, talk about your service, so that you can be seen and heard all about your product or your service. And it's great because it also gives you practice in a Facebook Live. And somebody actually did say that I was a Facebook Live queen, and I will take that. I quite like that, because I actually really love Facebook Lives. So what this is about is simply that, is so that you can come on and tell all the members what it is you do. This is the best way. So tonight we have Maria Doherty. And do I pronounce your surname right, Maria?
Yes, Doherty, yes.
Doherty, right, yeah, because yeah. I say that and I love it because it sort of rolls off my tongue. I love certain words I love, and Doherty is one of them. So Maria she's an occupational therapist. She's been an occupational therapist for 30 years. But also she's a flower essence practitioner, which she's going to tell us all about. But first of all, Maria, you have travelled internationally and you've been to New Zealand from Ireland. Tell us how you got to New Zealand, and then tell us all about Ireland, because I love Ireland. Over to you.
Well, I was living in Scotland at the time, because I moved from Ireland to England, to Brighton, for a year when I first started working, and then I moved up to Scotland. And my flatmate at the time had just come back from New Zealand. And she would tell me her stories of New Zealand and show me her photographs. And I just thought, oh my goodness, that's such a beautiful country. It's so unspoiled. It's such a varied landscape. It's just so gorgeous, and very few people, but lots of beautiful landscape, lots of beautiful birds, lovely wildlife. So another colleague of mine also went to New Zealand, another occupational therapist. So these two people, these two friends who I was very close to, inspired me to go. And I was probably about 26 at the time, and most of my contemporaries that I was in college with were saving up to buy their first house. So it was either, settle down and buy a flat or go off traveling with a backpack on my back. So I chose the latter. Yes. So I got to go there via Fiji and States, and then I went to Australia and Thailand as well. But I spent most of it in New Zealand, and I actually worked in New Zealand as an occupational therapist. So as well as traveling, I was working there for a while as well. So that was really good, a really fantastic experience. Yeah.
So you were qualified before?
Oh yes, I was qualified. Yeah, I was 4 years, basically had been working for about, 5 years qualified when I went. Yeah, I was about 26 at the time, I think. Yeah. So, yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was an island that you did your training?
Yes, in Dublin. I did my training in Dublin. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
And at the time, there wasn't an awful lot of jobs in Ireland. This was in the 80s, the mid 80s. So, and occupational therapy was still quite new, particularly in Ireland. So I think out of the 30 of us that graduated, maybe 3 ended up in Ireland. A lot went to Australia, Canada, the UK, kind of, different places, because of because of the need to, really. Yeah. But also the desire to travel also. But the jobs kind of got us there. Yeah, we needed to go for the work.
That helped.
Yeah, definitely.
I remember you telling me that you were the first OT to be employed in County Kerry, was it?
County Kerry and the southwest of Ireland. Yes. So basically, there is a story. I came back from New Zealand way back in 1991, and I got a job in Dublin for a while, just for about under a year. But I really, really wanted to work with children again, because most of my work prior to that was with children. So I got a job with Enable Ireland, which is the equivalent of Capability Scotland over here.
Okay.
So it's like a charitable organisation. So they were wanting to build a therapy centre down in County Kerry, because the children had to go all the way to County Cork for any kind of therapy. So they employed me, and when I went there, the therapy centre was still being built. So I had nowhere to work. So I basically had no office, no therapy centre, no phone. So it was before the mobile phone. So fortunately, it was during the summer holidays, so all the children were at home. I did have a car, so I was able to drive.
Good.
But what I used to do was I used to get one of those phone cards and go into a phone box and go through my list of children and say, can I come and see your child tomorrow, and travel all around Kerry during the summer holidays just to get to know the families and the children. And then eventually I got to know an estate agent and found a temporary building that I could have an office in until the therapy centre then was built about a year later. Yeah. So
that's a really organic way to carry out a job. What?
Yeah, it was an experience. Yeah. Yes.
And you work as an occupational therapist. What exactly is that? Because I don't know.
Okay, so occupational therapists basically are people who enable adults or children to be able to be independent and look after themselves in daily living activities. So it might be something like being able to dress yourself if you've had a disability like a stroke or something. It might be dressing, or it might be, you might have problems using your knife and fork. You might have problems getting on and off the loo. You might need special equipment. You might need a hoist. You might need a wheelchair. You might need, different aids and appliances. But I've mainly worked with children, and the children that I work with now are mobile children, though my colleagues work with children who've got disabilities, more who are not mobile, and so they're more needing equipment. But the kids that I see are children who have got coordination difficulties, so they're maybe not very good at catching a ball, or have difficulties in PE, or having struggled with their writing, so are not able to get their ideas down on paper at school, or they may have difficulties in sports activities. They're the ones who never picked to play football, or have to crash out of the football team because they're not good enough. So they really struggle with their self-esteem, because their coordination difficulties can have quite a significant impact on how they feel about themselves and about their friendships, and how they manage in school. Because, as you know, being involved in sports can be quite a big part of school.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I mean, it gets the kids motivated as well, because I know what I'm like. Well, I don't play sports anymore. No, that's not entirely true. I do go gliding. not quite a sport, but nice gentle sport. But I do know how I feel after a walk, getting out into the fresh air. You just feel fab.
Yeah.
So talking about nature, let's talk about flower essences.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what you are really sort of, I mean, you love OT, but I mean, flower essences, how did you get into flower essences? And tell us what it is.
Well, flower essences are vibrational essences that they're basically, they come in little bottles like that. And they've got like little dropper bottles that you take drops and you put on your tongue, or you can put it into your drinks, or you can also put it into a cream and rub it into your body. It's quite nice to rub it into the soles of your feet as well. Or you can spray it you can put it into water, a spray bottle, and spray it around you. But basically the flower essences work on the emotional. It's about your kind of emotional and spiritual well-being, really. So they work on the emotional well-being, bringing the individual back into balance when you're out of balance or out of sorts. So they help by removing any kind of blocks that you might have. So basically, they bring you back to be who you really are, if you like, before you get into that, state of, oh, I can't do it, or I lack confidence, or I doubt myself, or I'm fearful, or, all these states that are natural as being part of being a human being. So the flower essences bring us back into balance, basically, restore the equilibrium so that we're more able to be ourselves and more able to do the things we really want to do and achieve our potential. So that's what flower essences do. And how I got into them, well, in a previous job, I was working in Dundee at the time. I was the head occupational therapist there. It was a very demanding job. And although I really enjoyed it, it was, quite demanding and quite stressful. And at the time, I was also fundraising to go to Peru, to go to Machu Picchu. I was going with the Scottish Society for Autism to raise money for them, along with two colleagues, a speech therapy colleague and a pediatrician. So I was having this really busy job where I was, taking home work at night and taking home work at the weekends and working all hours, as well as doing all this fundraising, running all these, events like, pub quizzes and, all the usual coffee mornings, and to raise this, whatever it was, £2,000. So of course I was overdoing it. I was so I found that I found it difficult to sleep at night and to switch my head off because my head was so busy. Ooh. So I first went and had Reiki. So I found that helped me with my sleep and to be a bit more kind of, a bit more chilled out. And then my Reiki master used to give me flower essences. And when I used to go see her, she would give me, sometimes I wouldn't go, and she would say, no, I'm going to give you flower essences today. This is what you need. So it was through her that I found out about flower essences and found out about Reiki, really. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, and I've basically been using them ever since. Yeah. So, and I did find that they did help me with my, just to get things in a bit more perspective. And what I would say, how they helped me was I was kind of stuck in this job feeling I couldn't get out of it. And that, I was kind of fearful of making the next step because I knew if I stayed in that job, it wasn't going to be good for my health because it was quite stressful. And what I really wanted to do was to go back to being a full-time clinician again, because I was a manager. So I knew to stay sane, I probably would have to drop all my clinical work and not see any children anymore, and just be at meetings all the time and doing all that kind of stuff, running a service. And I just thought, I didn't come into this job to sit and do that. Not all the time. So I feel through the flower essences, it gave me that kind of confidence and push to change direction. So I left that job, having been there for 11 years, and went back to being a full-time clinician. So in another area. So I moved, job-wise, I moved to Fife then. So I think without the flower essence, I may not have been so bold to have done that. I might have just stayed, that kind of fear of change we sometimes have. You keep on thinking, of all the things, why not to change, So I think that helped me a lot to kind of, I suppose, develop for my own personal development. Yeah. And change of direction and change of career.
I know with one of, this is my favorite story that I will keep saying until everybody gets so sick of hearing about it. I'm sure, Maria, you know what I'm going to come up with here, is that Maria, because Maria had, 2, maybe 3 workshops when I had the centre in Edinburgh, just on Cranston Street. So which meant it was great because I could go there. How wonderful was that? And there was a time Maria gave me something. I can't remember what it was, because Maria, you've given me 2 or 3 different sort of concoctions over the time I've been there. But I think it was like the first time I had this essence, and I didn't think too much about it. And I was just taking a little bit of water and swallowing it down. And there was one morning I woke, in fact, I'm saying I woke up. I was at that stage where you're sort of half awake and half asleep. And there was this speaking to me inside. And it said to me, this is going to be a wonderful day. And I remember opening my eyes and thinking, where on earth did that come from? And my eyes went to the table by the side of my bed, and there was the little bottle of flower essence you'd given me. And I swear to the day, that was what happened. It worked. It is unbelievable. And they're so subtle, aren't they?
Very, very subtle. Yes. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. But
So
can be quite transformational over time. Over time can be quite transformational.
Well, I didn't take it often enough. I'm gonna have to come to you. In fact, I'll get some on Saturday when we're together at the conference. I'll get some more then. But we're talking about flower essences here, but there's also aromatherapy oils. Are they the same or different?
Quite different, but a lot of people quite naturally do confuse them, which is understandable because, they're both, can come from flowers. But the flower essences are, you ingest them. So you take them in, inside your body, whereas essential oils you don't, and they're made quite differently. So the essential oils, they're kind of just the different parts of the flowers, and it's distilled. So it's not good to ingest them. It's not safe to ingest them. Whereas the flower essences, the way they're made is they're floated in water, and then the sunshine assists with getting the vibration of the flower, the energy of the flower into the water. So it really is just the water with the flower essence, the essence of the flower. Whereas there's probably more parts in the essential oil. There's more parts of the original flower. Does that make sense? So the essential oil will smell of the particular, if it's rose, geranium, or if it's bergamot or whatever, it'll smell of that fruit or, flower. Whereas the flower essences don't smell of the flower. They all smell the same because you've got water and a little bit of brandy that's added to the water to stop the water going off. So they all smell of brandy. So a lot of people open them and think, I'm going to smell a particular flower, but you're not. So that's how they're different.
Different.
So the main thing is that you're able to take these, you ingest these. Whereas with the essential oils, you tend to put them into like a carrier oil for massage, for aromatherapy. So you would put them on your body, or you would put them in a diffuser. Whereas the flower essence, you take them, you ingest them.
Yes, but at the same time with the essences, you could use them for massage, couldn't you? To, like you could put them on feet, but they don't have the aroma.
Yes, they don't have the aroma. Yeah, but yes, you can use them. You could add them to your massage oil. You could add them even to a diffuser where you have essential oils, and then you're getting that energy of the flower through the essence in the room as well. So So
you can mix them both, and it won't
mix them both.
change
Yes, and some people make like aura sprays that you can spray around your aura, spray around your body, that have the essential oil smell, but they'll have the vibration, they'll have the vibrational or flower essence in there as well. So you're getting both, which is quite nice. Yeah.
We have, I'm actually been able to see comments here. So Amy is here saying,
Hi.
letting us know that we're here. And Lorna's here from the other night from our panel.
Oh, hi. Hi, Lorna.
And Lorna says, lovely.
Hi, Amy.
See you. And Lorna saying the flower essence is amazing. It's really helped her over time, particularly
Great.
Star of Bethlehem and Rescue.
Yes. Star of Bethlehem. I'm going to show you Star of Bethlehem. I don't know if you can you see that? Have I put that? Am I putting that close?
Yeah. Can see
so
it.
this is the beautiful Star of Bethlehem, this beautiful white flower.
Nice. I like it.
And Star of Bethlehem is in the rescue remedy. A lot of people know about rescue remedy.
Yes.
So rescue remedy is often used in
Oh,
crisis situations, and when you've had a shock or an accident, or you've had bad news, or perhaps you're going for an interview and you're nervous, you're going for a driving test, that type of thing. So it's very calming, it kind of calms the body. And what the Star of Bethlehem, it's particularly good if you've suffered shock or trauma in your life. So it doesn't matter whether it's shock or trauma from years ago, or whether it's more recent, it will still work. And interesting, I had a client who, grown man now in his 40s, but he was in a car accident when he was 10, and he had a very bad head injury. And when I saw him, I gave him some Star of Bethlehem, and he still had issues within his system to do with the shock and trauma from way back then. So, and he was able to, he really identified, he loved Star of Bethlehem, and he felt that it really kind of helped him, because he was finding it, he still had like, he has like a tightness of his muscles down one side of his body. And he would find when he was taking the essences that at nighttime he used to find it hard to settle, to get to sleep. But he would find that his body was able to relax more at night. So for him, it improved his ability to settle to sleep, and he found that he got to sleep a lot quicker than he had been used to. Mm-hmm. So it was interesting, like, 30 years later, that trauma was obviously still there at a cellular level in his body from the accident. Mm-hmm.
So what flower essences would you prescribe, say for overwhelm or to help to make a decision?
Okay, well, for overwhelm, it's a nice easy one to remember. It's elm for overwhelm.
Right, I'm going to write this down.
Yeah, there's you can see.
Yeah.
So from the elm tree. So elm is for the person who's doing too much, got too many plates in the air. People who are usually very capable but have just overburdened and taken on too much and not delegating, trying to do it all themselves. So what elm does is it helps you to be able to say no, basically, and to be able to delegate more, and also maybe to stress less about getting it done in a certain time period. Just being able to realize, what, that doesn't have to be done today. Helps you to prioritize, and helps you to delegate. So that's elm. And then you said about decision making. There's a few for decision making, but one that comes to mind. The elm, by the way, is from Bach, B-A-C-H, Dr. Bach. Mm-hmm. One for decision making is jacaranda.
I don't know that.
It's you may not, because it's an Australian flower. Yeah. So Amy might be familiar with this. She's got connections with Australia. So the jacaranda is good for decision making. So it helps bring clarity, and it helps to kind of still the mind, and it helps to, rather than dotting about trying to do too many things, it helps us to maybe find that still center within ourselves to gain clarity and to listen within. Because when we have to make a decision, often that listening, sometimes we have to stop going round and round in our heads. But we need to be able to kind of still the mind, to be able to listen to maybe that, your inner knowing, if you like, connect with the inner knowing. So that would be jacaranda. From the Australian bush flower range.
Right.
Yeah.
But by the way, it's not Amy who's in this with us.
Oh, it's a different Amy.
No, it's not Amy. Actually, I can't pronounce your name. It says Yuan Amar.
Oh yes, yes. She was had a question for the panel. That's right. I remember that name. Yes,
that's right. She did.
Yes,
she did.
That's that Amy. Yes.
And she rescues cats, and from Saudi, I believe. Yes, we'll have to get her on here at some point, because that'd be interesting. So continue. What about grief?
Grief would be Star of Bethlehem could help with that. A rescue remedy, as a generic rescue remedy that's got 5 flowers in it, including Star of Bethlehem. There's another one from the Australian range called Sturt Desert Pea. STU. I know it's a bit of a mouthful. I don't know if I've got it here. Sturt, STURT, Sturt Desert Pea. And that's very good for grief, and particularly for grief that's quite deep and ingrained, and it's been there for quite a while. I'm trying to see if I've got a picture of it. So the Sturt Desert Pea, it's a red flower. Here it is. So I'll tell you an interesting story about.
Oh wow.
Yes, it's very unusual. Some people don't like it. They don't like the look of it. They're a bit scared of it, but it's kind of.
It is quite scary.
It is a bit scary, but it's very good it's very helpful for grief. So Ian White, who's the producer of the Australian bushflower essences, tells a story about how he gave this essence. He gave it for free. He donated this Sturt Desert Pea essence to an orphanage in Brazil. And in Brazil, they're very big into using essences in Brazil. And the children there were having something like 6 bouts of bronchitis a year. And Ian knew that we hold grief in our lungs, apparently, because certain parts of the body hold certain emotions. So apparently grief is held in the lungs. So he gave the children this essence for a year. And what they discovered was that the children only got something like 1 bout of bronchitis a year instead of something like 6 bouts of bronchitis. So obviously they had this grief, they were orphans, from the separation, from the grief from their parents, and this was affecting their physical health. And this is what Dr. Batch was looking at. He was looking at how the emotions affect the physical. So we don't say, have an essence for, this physical ailment. We will say, what's the emotion that's maybe that's underlying the physical ailment. So we don't say flower essences work on the physical, they work on the emotional, the mental, the emotional, the spiritual. But as we know, they're so connected, and that the emotion, can affect the physical, as many people end up, quite with lots of illnesses when they've perhaps been through a very stressful and difficult time. It's where that, often it can manifest itself. And that's where Dr. Edward Batch, who founded the Batch range of essences, he was very interested in the emotional. And that's what he felt that was more important, people's attitudes and emotion, than the physical symptoms. And he thought that's what we need to do. And he basically in 1930 left Orthodox medicine. He was a physician, a highly renowned physician on Harley Street at the time, and had a very lucrative practice. He gave it all up because he felt so driven to follow his, life purpose, his intuition, and go with this feeling he had about looking at how to help the emotions, and looking at flower essences and how they could help people with their emotional well-being.
So you mentioned 1930 there. Is that when the essences first began?
No, they've been around for centuries, thousands of years.
Really?
Yeah. So I mean, the Aborigines, the Aborigines who go back 40,000 years, they've used flowers in their healing system in Australia, the Aborigines. The Egyptians use flowers, the Minoans in Crete use flowers, the different healing people in the Caucasus Mountains in Russia use flowers. Wow. It's been there for a long time. There was a very famous physician called Paracelsus in the 1400s. He used to collect the morning dew from flowers to make essences, and in particular for emotional well-being. So he also used flower essences. So they've been there a long time, and it's like they were kind of rediscovered, if you like, in the 1930s by Dr. Batch. He kind of brought them back, if you like, because I suppose they were part of, medicine, traditional medicine for, hundreds and, thousands of years, but had maybe been a bit forgotten about, I guess. And he revived this, this modality. Yes, yeah. This form of treatment. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So could anybody go and make their own essences?
Yes, you can actually. You can. It's so basically it's about tuning in tuning into the flower, because you know how you're out and about, you're maybe drawn to a flower, you think, oh, that's a beautiful
absolutely.
flower. Yeah. So basically it's you know, it's been drawn to the flower, and then just tuning in and sort of asking like, you know, what's this for? And that's what he did. He was able to intuit. Dr. Batch he was able to, through his intuition, be able to work out what the healing qualities were. So yeah, so you get spring water in a glass bowl, and you put the flower. There's the cut method where you cut the flower, or there's the uncut method where you just put the flower immersed in the water when it's still attached to the actual plant. Okay. And you leave it there for a few hours in the sunshine. You do need to have the sunshine to be able to make this work. So, and then the water kind of changes a little bit. It becomes all kind of you see little kind of crystals in the water. It just looks different afterwards. Yeah. And so that's what's called your mother tincture. So your mother tincture is how you make, that's your very first thing that you make. And then you basically bottle that up with some brandy. So that's your mother tincture. And then you dilute that down to what you see in the shops as the stock bottles. Right. It's diluted down. And then it's diluted down again into the dosage bottle, which is this.
Okay.
So there's different stages. Yeah. 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 So yes, anybody can make an essence, but it's good to kind of tune in to sort of see what you're getting, what the message is, what you're picking up. It's really interesting. So sometimes people follow what's called the doctrine of signatures, where maybe the color of the flower tells them something, or the shape of the flower, because this goes back like hundreds of years. And Paracelsus, who I talked about earlier, who was a physician back in the 1400s, he revived this doctrine of signatures. So that's where people equated the shape of the flower or the color of the flower to its healing qualities. So for example, the flower eyebright is used for eye problems because it looks like an eye, or skullcap was used in herbal medicine for headaches because it looks like the human skull. And the same with some of the flowers as well. Maybe something tells you about it, what it might do. Yeah.
Yes, the feelings coming through.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, I don't know if it's you're seeing at your end, but mine is freezing up, so I don't know if it's my internet connection here. But we're still here. We're still live.
Good. Yes.
So, talking about making your own there, do you have any work? Well, I know you do. You've got some workshops coming up, haven't you? Do you want to tell us about those?
Yes, so there's the conference on Saturday, 21st, which I'm very excited about, and which you're going to be at as well. Yeah, that Sarah Fisher has organised. She was on the panel last week. So that's the Connective Parenting Conference in Edinburgh. So I'm going to be doing a talk in the morning on flower essences, and in the afternoon I'm wearing my occupational therapy hat, and I'm doing a workshop about sensory difficulties in children, sensory sensitivities, and basically how to help children to overcome their sensory difficulties, because a lot of children have difficulties with maybe touch, don't like getting their hair washed or their nails cut, or people bumping against them, or maybe they have problems with noise, like noise that other people would tolerate, they find it really, really loud and painful, or they might have problems with eating certain textures, or they might have problems with movement, don't like their feet being off the ground. So all the senses can be affected. Yeah. And so it's how to help children who have these sensory difficulties, how to help them in everyday life. What strategies can you use to try to help them be able to cope better? Because it can have quite an impact at home and at school for these children. So that's the afternoon one. Yeah. So they're quite different.
Yes.
But
very different. Yes. I hope they're not on at the same time as my workshops, because I'd like to be able to come and be a part of yours. So what we're talking about here is a parenting conference, it's called the Connective Parenting Conference, which is on Saturday at the Marriott Hotel, and is it 10 from 10 o'clock till 4, I think, or 4:30.
Yeah, I think registration is 9:15 or something. Yeah.
I'll pop the link into the comments box if anybody wants to come along. And like Maria said, Maria is holding 2 workshops there, which would be really interesting, and I'm holding 2 as well, but this isn't about me, so I'm not going to say what I'm doing. Now, there was something else I was going to say. What was it? It wasn't anything. As I just joke. Oh, I know, I was going to say, how ridiculous. Oh. Now, I do have to mention about now and our meeting.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Maria might be coming along tomorrow evening, which is our meeting. And if she does manage, but we've all got lots of different things going on. So maybe Maria can't manage this one, but that, oh, excuse me, I'm joking here. Oh, but we have, it's because it's we've actually been speaking for 30 odd minutes. Can you believe that? It's
Wow.
just,
Flown.
yeah, and we could keep going for another 30 minutes. We really could. But if anybody wants to ask any questions to Maria, I can see comments here, but I can't actually, if any new ones have come up. But if you want to ask Maria anything, pop it into the comments box or send her a message, because I know you will be willing to tell anybody anything that will help them.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I've also popped at the top of this live the links where you can go and see what Maria is up to. There's Facebook there. There is websites. There's lots of information that you can get from Maria, which I personally have used these essences, as you know, and they're just, you can't really, I can't explain them to anybody, because as they are just so subtle and so powerful, they're unreal. And I love the idea of being able to go out into the countryside, Maria, and be drawn to a flower. That's beautiful. I never thought of it like that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And to go and to pick it and then ask it, what are you going to do for me here? I think I love that. Yeah, that's a first for me, I have to say, and I'm surprised that I didn't know that one, but can't know everything, can I? So I'm going to thank Maria for this wonderful, interesting and informative conversation. Again, any questions, just ask Maria and she will answer them for you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So just a mention again about our now first meeting tomorrow evening in Hotel Indigo on York Place in Edinburgh. This is the first, I'm saying it's first meeting since March, where I closed the centre, where we had all our meetings there. But we've been, I think now it's been going about 18 months, I think, Maria, because you were here, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's been a wee while. And I can honestly say that all you guys that have been with me from the start and before, you're all still with me now, so I must be doing something right.
Absolutely.
I'm pleased
Yes.
about that.
Yes.
So if anybody wants to come to the meeting tomorrow night, you've got an offer until, what time is it? Till midnight tonight, where if you've bought your ticket, then you can bring a friend for a fiver, for £5. That's just something that just came to me, and I thought I'm just going to go ahead and do that. But again, I'll pop all those in the bottom of the links. Any questions, just ask. I think I've said everything. Can you think of anything, Maria, that I haven't said?
Just to say that the now meetings are fantastic. They're really a very comfortable and supportive and enjoyable space to be in. Very welcoming. Yes, great.
Thank you. I appreciate that, because that's what I do try and sort of and do that. Yeah. Well, I think now, because all of us in now who do attend these meetings, because there is what's the word? Following is the wrong word, but I know that there's a lot of us who are, well, I mean, obviously I'm there every time. Regulars, that's the word.
Yes,
regulars.
Yes.
And we've become friends.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
Really true friends.
Yeah.
So anyway, right, guys, off now. We're going to love you and leave you. And as I said, any questions? And for everybody who's on, I don't know if Lorna and Amy are still there. Quite possibly, but I'm sure they will let us know. Catch you all tomorrow evening. or maybe before then. Any questions? Oh, I don't want to end the meeting because you're still with me. What I want to do is to stop the live stream.
Okay.
So, yeah, but you stay there, Maria.